When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit by Judith Kerr, Chapter 20. There was even less money to spend at Christmas than the previous year, but it was more fun because of the Fernands. The main celebration in France was not at Christmas, but on New Year's Eve, when the children are allowed to stay up till midnight, and they all had a special dinner and exchanged presents at the Fernands' flat. Anna had used some of her pocket money to buy some chocolate as a present for the white cat, and after dinner, instead of playing with Max and Francine, she stayed behind in the living room to feed it small crumbs of chocolate on the floor. Mamma and Madame Fernand were washing up the dishes in the kitchen, and Papa and Monsieur Fernand were drinking brandy and having one of their endless conversations, deep in two armchairs. Papa seemed very interested in what they were talking about, and Anna was pleased, because ever since that morning, when a postcard had arrived from Uncle Julius, he had been silent and depressed. There had been postcards from Uncle Julius at irregular intervals throughout the year, and though there was never any real news in them, they were always full of affection. Sometimes there were little jokes, and always there were messages for Aunt Alice, to which Papa replied. This card had been addressed to Anna as usual, but there was no mention of Aunt Alice, not even any good wishes for the new year. Instead, on the back of a picture of some bears, Uncle Julius had simply written, "The more I see of men, the more I love animals." He had not even initialed it as usual, but they knew it was from him because of the beautiful, neat handwriting. Papa had read it without a word, and then he had put it with the rest of Uncle Julius's cards and letters, which he kept carefully in his table drawer. He had hardly spoken for the rest of the day, and now it was good to see him as animated as Monsieur Fernand. "But you live in a free country," he was saying. "Nothing else matters." "Yes, but," said Monsieur Fernand, and Anna realized that they must be worrying about the depression again. The depression was the only thing that ever got Monsieur Fernand down, and though Anna had asked several times what it was, no one had been able to explain it to her. It was something that had happened in France, and it meant that there was less money for everyone and fewer jobs, and it had caused some of Monsieur Fernand's colleagues to be sacked from his paper. Whenever Monsieur Fernand talked about the depression, Papa reminded him that he lived in a free country, and this time, perhaps because of Uncle Julius, Papa was more eloquent than usual. Monsieur Fernand agreed with him for a while, and then suddenly he laughed. The white cat opened its mouth in surprise at the noise, and a crumb of chocolate fell out. When Anna looked up, Monsieur Fernand was refilling Papa's glass and patting him on the shoulder. "It's a funny thing," he said. "You trying to point out the more cheerful aspects of the situation when you've got more to worry about than any of the rest of us." Then Mamma and Monsieur Fernand came back into the room, and soon it was midnight, and everyone, even the children, drank a toast to the new year. "Happy 1935!" cried Monsieur Fernand. "Happy 1935!" echoed everyone. "To us and to all our friends," said Papa quietly, and Anna knew that he was thinking of Uncle Julius. In February, Mamma caught flu, and just as she was getting better, the concierge developed a bad leg, which was very unfortunate. Since Greet's departure, Mamma had done most of the cleaning herself, but the concierge had come up for an hour each morning to help with the rough work. Now Mamma was left with the lot. She did not like housework at the best of times, and was feeling gloomy, as people tend to do after flu, and the burden of all the cleaning and cooking and washing and ironing and mending seemed to her simply too heavy to be borne. Anna and Max helped by doing odd jobs like shopping and emptying the dustbin, but of course most of the work fell back on Mamma, and she grumbled about it incessantly. "I don't mind the cooking," she said, "but the endless washing and ironing and mending, it takes so long and goes on forever." Papa was no help at all. He had no idea what needed to be done in the household, and when Mamma complained how tired she got ironing the sheets, he seemed genuinely astonished. "But why do you bother?" he said. "They'll get crumpled again anyway, when people sleep in them." "Oh, you don't understand anything," cried Mamma. She felt extra bad about it because Mamma was planning to visit Great Aunt Sarah, and she wanted the flat to look nice when she came to see it. But while she cleaned the rooms, and Mamma cleaned them with a kind of ferocity which they had never encountered from either Greet or the concierge, the washing accumulated, and while she cooked good and inexpensive meals, the pile of mending grew and grew. Because Papa seemed unable to understand her difficulty, she somehow felt he was to blame, and one evening they had a row. Mamma was trying to mend an old vest of Anna's, and groaning a good deal because there was a pile of socks and pillowcases waiting to be darned after she had finished when Papa spoke. "Surely this is quite unnecessary," he said. "There can be no real need to mend children's underwear when no one ever sees it." He might have known, thought Anna, that this would come to an explosion. "You have no idea!" "But no idea," shouted Mamma, "of the work I have to do. I get worn out washing and cooking and ironing and mending, and all you ever say is it isn't necessary." "Only because you complain so much," said Papa. "After all, other people seem to manage. Look at Madame Fernand." This provoked another outburst. "Madame Fernand loves housework," shouted Mamma. "Also, she has a daily woman and a sewing machine. Look at this," she cried, waving a torn pillow slip. "She'd be able to mend this in 2 minutes, whereas it'll take me at least half an hour. If you compare me with her, it just shows you have no idea what you're talking about." Papa was taken aback by her vehemence. He loved Mamma, and he hated to see her distressed. "I only meant," he said, "that for an intelligent person like you there must be ways of simplifying." "Then you better ask Madame Fernand," shouted Mamma. "All I ever learned to do was how to play the piano." And she walked out of the room and slammed the door. The following day, when Anna came home from school, she met Papa in the lift. He was carrying a large wooden box with a handle. "What is it?" asked Anna, and Papa said, "A present for Mamma." Anna was all agog to see what it was, and could hardly wait for it to be opened, but Mamma's face fell at the sight of it. "Surely you haven't bought," she began, as Papa lifted the lid, and Papa said proudly, "A sewing machine." It was not a bit like Madame Fernand's sewing machine, thought Anna. Madame Fernand's sewing machines was silver, but this one was grayish-black and a peculiar shape. "Of course it's not new," said Papa, "and it may need to be cleaned, but you'll be able to mend the pillowcases and socks with it and make the children's clothes without asking Madame Fernand." "I don't know how to make clothes," said Mamma. "And you can't mend socks with a sewing machine." She looked absolutely horrified. "Well, whatever it is you do with a sewing machine," said Papa. They all stared at the thing on the table. It did not look, thought Anna, as if it would do anything. "How much did it cost?" said Mamma. "Don't worry about that," said Papa. "They paid me for the extra article I wrote for the Daily Parisian today." At this, Mamma became quite frantic. "But we need that money," she cried. "Don't you remember? I have to pay the rent and the butcher, and Anna needs new shoes. We said we'd use the money from the article to pay for them." Papa looked distressed. Clearly he had not remembered about these things. But before Mamma could say any more, the bell rang, and Anna opened the door to see Madame Fernand. In the excitement over the sewing machine, everyone had forgotten that she was due to drop in for tea. "Look!" cried Mamma and Papa, but in different tones of voice, as Anna led her into the dining room. Madame Fernand looked at the machine incredulously. "Where on earth did you get it?" she said. "It must have come off the ark." "Is it so old?" said Papa. Madame Fernand inspected the machine more closely. "Did you buy it?" she asked, still sounding astonished. Certainly," said Papa. "But the needle plate, it's broken," said Madame Fernand. "And the whole shaft is bent sideways. Someone must have dropped it so that it couldn't possibly work." She noticed some raised marks on the side of the machine and rubbed them with her handkerchief. Gradually, some of the figures appeared from beneath the grime. They found a date, 1896. So this would be like something from getting something now from the 60s. Madame Fernand put her handkerchief back in her pocket. "As an antique, it may be interesting," she said firmly, but as a sewing machine, it's got to go back to the shop." Papa still couldn't believe his wonderful present was no use. "Are you sure?" he said. "Quite sure," said Madame Fernand. "Take it quickly and tell them to give you your money back." "And then I will be able to get new shoes?" asked Anna. She knew it wasn't really the moment to ask for them, but her old ones were quite worn out, apart from pinching her toes, and she had been looking forward to a new pair for a long time. Of course," said Mamma impatiently, but Papa still hesitated. "I hope they'll agree," he said. "The man who sold it to me didn't seem very helpful." "I'll come with you," said Madame Fernand. "I want to see the place where they sell antique sewing machines," and Anna went along too. The shop did not sell sewing machines, only as Anna had expected, but all sorts of different things, like old chairs and little rickety tables and cracked pictures. Some of these had been put out on the pavement, and a small ill-dressed man was busy draping a balding tiger skin over a chest of drawers in the middle. When he saw Papa, his eyes, which were strangely pale, half closed.
Good afternoon, said Papa, as politely as always. I bought this sewing machine earlier, and I'm afraid it doesn't work. Doesn't it? Said the man, who did not seem very surprised. No, said Papa, so I brought it back. The man said nothing. I would be glad if you would be so kind as to refund the money. Oh, no, said the man, I can't do that. A bargain's a bargain. But the machine does not work, said Papa. Look, sir, said the man, momentarily abandoning the tiger skin. You came here and bought a sewing machine. Now you've changed your mind and you want your money back. Well, I don't do business that way. A bargain's a bargain, and that's all there is to it. I quite agree, said Papa. A bargain's a bargain, but the sewing machine is broken. There, said the man. Papa pointed vaguely. The man dismissed it. For a few bits out of order, he said. Cost you almost nothing to replace those. After all, you can't expect it to be perfect, not at the price you paid for it. No, I suppose not, said Papa. But since it does not work at all, don't you think you should take it back? No, I don't, said the man. Papa seemed at a loss for what to say next, and Anna could see the money for her new shoes slipping away. She knew that Papa had been cheated, but she also knew that he had meant it all for the best, and that he was not the sort of person who could force the man to hand back the money. She sighed, but she had reckoned without Madame Fernand. Now listen to me, she shouted so loudly that several passers-by turned around to look at her. You've sold this man a wreck of a sewing machine without giving him to understand that it works. That's an offense against the law. I intend to inform the police immediately, and I have no doubt they will also be most interested in all the other junk you sell here. Now, lady, please, cried the man, his eyes were suddenly wide open. Don't tell me you came by this stuff honestly, shouted Madame Fernand, giving the tiger skin a contemptuous tug. There's nothing honest about your business. When the police have finished with my husband, who is a journalist, will expose you to the paper, in his paper. Lady, please, cried the man again, digging in his pocket. Just a little misunderstanding, and he hurriedly handed Papa some notes from a grubby wallet. Is that the right amount? Asked Madame Fernand sternly. It appears to be, said Papa. Then we'll go, she said. They had walked only a few steps when the man came running after them. What was it now? Thought Anna nervously. The man pointed apologetically. Excuse me, sir, but would you mind? He said. Papa looked down and discovered he was still carrying the sewing machine in his hand. He put it down quickly. I am terribly sorry, he said. I am afraid I was a little confused. Of course, sir. Very natural, sir, said the man with no conviction whatever. When Anna looked back a moment later, he was gloomily arranging the sewing machine on top of the tiger skin. They accompanied Madame Fernand to her metro station. Now, let's have no more of this nonsense about sewing machines, she said before she left them. You know you can borrow mine any time you like, and tell your mother, she added Anna, that I'll drop by tomorrow and give her a hand with the mending. She looked at Papa with a kind of admiration. You two, she said. You must be the most impractical people in the world. Anna and Papa walked home together. It was cold, but the sky was a bright clear blue, and though there was no sign yet of spring, there was a feeling that it was not too far away. At school that morning, Anna had got 7 out of 10 on her dictation, only 3 mistakes. The memory of her new shoes was safe in Papa's pocket. She was very happy. And that is the end of chapter 20.